There are gestures that open doors, words that arouse loyalties, and yes, there are kisses that disarm the soul. But not all kisses are created equal. Some are harmless, other, strategically placed, they awaken in a woman a desire so deep that not even she herself can explain it. Do you want to know what they are? You'll find out, but not now. Because first you need to understand this. In my time, men conquered kingdoms with swords. Today, the realms still exist, only they've become more intimate. Now the realms are in her gaze, in her body, in her emotions. And as a good strategist, you can't go straight to the throne without first winning the loyalty of his inner army, his desire, his mind, his imagination. See? Most men kiss on impulse. They act as if kissing is simply an instinctive response to desire. And in part it is, but the mistake is not in instinct. The mistake is in the lack of intention, in the absence of strategy. Because when you kiss like everyone else, you become everyone. But when you kiss with calculation, with purpose, then you become the only one. In the man who not only passes through his body, but it gets stuck in your mind. And this is where art begins. Because kissing is not simply lip-locking. It's creating an invisible narrative between you and her, a power game, a game of delivery, a game in which she thinks she is giving up, when in reality, you are only activating each of their emotional defenses by making them fall one by one like chess pieces. Still don't understand why where you kiss matters more than the kiss itself? Think about this. A kiss in the right place, at the right time, cosmic can be more powerful than a whole night of caresses. Why? Because his mind remembers the unexpected more than the obvious. Because desire is not fed by routine but by amazement. And that amazement, it can be created, it can be manipulated. You can make a woman feel like you're different, though without saying a single word. You just need to know where to play, where to kiss, and when to do it. Because kissing her in the right places not only turns her on, it connects it. It connects your physical desire with your emotional desire. It unites his body with his soul, and when you achieve that, you're not a lover anymore. You have become a memory that is impossible to erase. Now tell me, do you really think the neck is just a neck? That the back is just back? Or that lips are always the best place to start? Men who kiss with intention, they never start where she expects, because they know that power is not in the kiss, it's in the reaction it provokes. And if you know exactly where to kiss, you can make that reaction so intense, so visceral, that she confuses it with love. Yes, I mistook it for love, And believe me, when a woman starts to confuse you with love, you're closer to emotional mastery than any other man. That is why this knowledge is not trivial. It is strategic. And that's why you should pay more attention to it than you ever paid to a kiss. But you're not ready to get to know the 5 places yet. Because first you need to change the way you see a woman's body. It's not just an erotic surface. It is a map of repressed emotions. And each zone, every corner, it has a hidden code, a memory, a longing. When you kiss their neck, you don't just activate an erogenous zone. You awaken their vulnerability. You remind him of the feeling of surrendering. When you lip the inside of her wrist, you're not improvising. You are accessing a pulse zone that connects directly with the heart. Your skin knows it. His unconscious knows it. And you, if you learn to read that silent language, you become dangerous. Because there is no defense against a man who knows how to read the body. That she doesn't need words to turn her on. That just with a gesture, a touch, a well-placed kiss, it can cause your mind to collapse into desire. Now then, what comes next is not for any man. Because what I'm going to reveal to you isn't an empty list of places to kiss her. It is a guide to leave an emotional mark. It's a strategy to make you unforgettable, to become that thought that can't get out of your head. But before I tell you, I want you to understand the most important thing. The true power of the kiss is not in the kiss. It's in what it evokes, in what it unleashes, in what leaves you shaking after your lips are gone. Now listen carefully. Because what I'm going to tell you may seem simple, but its impact is devastating. The first place where a kiss not only ignites desire, but also provokes an involuntary emotional opening. It's not the lips. Is just behind his ear. Don't make that face. Because if you think that place is common, then you haven't used it with real intelligence. That small space, where the neck curves gently toward the skull, is an emotional blind spot, a place where the skin is thin, sensitive, and the cold air contrasts with the warmth of your breath. But it's not the contact that turns her on, it's the expectation. When your lips get close to that area and don't touch it right away. When you only exhale with intention, slow, almost imperceptible. She doesn't know if you're going to kiss her or if you're just playing. And it is precisely that ambiguity that makes her body begin to betray her. See? It's not just about kissing her. It's about building tension. Because the tension, it is more addictive than immediate pleasure. Any man can kiss. But a strategist doses, retains, causes. And in that game, desire multiplies. Most men go straight to climax as if they're afraid of missing out. But you don't. Because you have understood that a well-placed kiss, and better contained, is like a sharp knife that sinks slowly. It doesn't hurt, but it scores. It leaves an emotional scar. And if you mark their skin without haste, with presence, with predatory elegance, then you begin to occupy a place in his mind that no one else can claim. Now imagine this. They are talking, she smiles. You get closer, not hungry, but with dominance, tilting your head barely, letting your lips rub that area. Not out of necessity, but by decision. And at that moment, she stops listening to what you're saying. Because your whole body is focused on that part. Because suddenly that small gesture seems to contain a secret message. And it contains it. What you don't say in words, you say it with intention. And she senses it. He translates it. And he remembers it. That kiss, well executed, tells him, I can touch you where no one dares. I can awaken parts of you that you've kept asleep. And I don't need more than a moment, a sigh, a touch. That is the message she receives, even if I can't put it into words. That's why that point is so powerful, because it's too close to the ear to be ignored, but too intimate to be casual. It is an emotional invasion without violence, and that, in a woman's mind, it's worth more than any romantic line. But of course, you can't just give it to them. Remember this, a kiss that has not been earned is worth nothing. That's why, before you get there, your body language has to have prepared the ground. Your gaze must have sown mystery. Your energy should have said, I'm here, but I don't belong to you yet. Do you understand it now? Kissing is not a physical act. It is a statement of power. And when you choose to kiss behind his ear at just the right time, you're not just creating desire, you're gaining territory. Because she begins to associate you with something deeper than attraction, mystery, the feeling of being explored, not just touched. And when a woman feels like she's being explored, her mind no longer stands up for itself. He gives up, and that's where you win, not because of what you do, but by how you do it. Because of how you understand that every move, every kiss, it has to have emotional weight. Because if it does not leave a mark, it is useless. Now then, don't get too excited. That was just first place, just one step on his emotional map. What comes next? It is even more intimate, more unexpected, more strategic. Because if you want me to remind you, who needs you, that I feel an emotional emptiness when you are not there, so the next point cannot be underestimated. But not yet. Because first you need to understand something else, something that will change the way you understand the female body. And there is no physical point of contact, without an emotional door to sustain him. The kiss doesn't work on its own. It works when it connects with a hidden emotion, with an unfulfilled longing, with a fantasy that not even she herself has confessed. And do you know what the most common mistake men make? They assume that kissing is the final act, when in reality, it's just the first key. Observe an animal's behavior in the wild when it trusts. Let your guard down. Close your eyes. It is delivered. The same thing happens in humans, but with more layers, especially in women, because a woman does not give herself on impulse. He gives himself for emotional security. And the key to provoking that surrender is in a place that almost no one considers erotic, the forehead. Are you surprised? I'm glad. That means you haven't yet understood that what turns a woman on isn't just what's sexual, but what is emotionally significant. Kiss her forehead at the right time. It is not tenderness, it is not affection, it is a silent play with a high psychological impact, because in the female unconscious, that gesture activates an ancestral message. I am with you, but not to possess you, but to protect you. And even if you don't say it, she feels it. The forehead is a surrender zone. Not because it is weak, but because it is where the mind is concentrated. And kissing that area is equivalent to taking control of your thoughts without asking permission. And here comes the important thing. That kiss, well used, can make a woman lower her defenses faster than any direct insinuation. Because by kissing her forehead, she doesn't feel like you're looking for her body. Feel that you are touching their essence, its value, their vulnerability. And this, when executed from a place of male presence, with a firm gaze, with rooted energy, has a devastating effect. Because he doesn't expect it, because you can't classify it as lust, and yet feels deeply desired. Do you see the paradox? You make her feel protected, and at the same time you make her feel desired. You caress it with respect, and at the same time with an energy that says, I have you, and that That's what no woman can resist, the balance between containment and danger, between tenderness and strength. That kiss, it works best after a little tension, maybe after a long look, or of a charged silence. When her mind is waiting for you to kiss her on the lips, you take another path. You raise their chin gently with your hand. You watch her. And without saying anything, you let your lips brush against his forehead. That gesture is not romantic. It is a statement of emotional control. Because you're changing the rules of the game, you're telling him, I didn't just come to touch your body, I came to rule your inner world. And that unbalances it, because for a moment he doesn't know if you're a gentleman or an emotional threat. And in that vertigo, true desire is born. I repeat, what cannot be classified, it stays in his mind, because all you can understand compares it. But what he doesn't understand, he remembers it. And you want to be that. Not the man who rushes, not the one who seeks results, but the one who knows how to wait, the one who knows how to touch emotion without invading it, the one who knows how to enter through the door that others do not even see. That kiss on the forehead is not for every moment, but when you apply it at the right time, it's like writing your name in their limbic system. You don't need to understand why, he just knows that he feels you, and a woman who feels you. He no longer thinks of you like others. Now you understand why there are places that are not just physical, but symbolic. And that's why each of these 5 points that you are going to discover are not simply zones. They are keys, access, secret switches that alter your emotional system from deep within. But make no mistake, this is not manipulation. It's art, it's precision. It is to understand that desire is not generated by touching more, but by playing better. And that's why what is coming now is even more subtle, because the next point, he doesn't kiss right away. It is conquered slowly, with pause. And when you get there, you don't just provoke desire, you provoke surrender, because third place is not in his face, not even in his torso. It's more hidden, more private, more dangerous, but not dangerous for the body, dangerous because of what it represents emotionally. I won't tell you what it is yet, because before, you need to understand a more inconvenient truth, a truth that most men do not accept, that women do not fall in love with the one who touches them the fastest, but of the one who looks at it the slower, of the one who knows that a kiss can be a weapon or an altar. And that true power, it's not in kissing, but in knowing why you do it. There are places that excite, and there are places that disarm. What comes next belongs to that second category, because the third place, it's not a physical secret, it's an emotional secret, and it's in the lower back, right where your body begins to curve into desire. It is not the obvious, it is not the center of attention, and yet, it is one of the places where the most tension, energy charge, and unspoken memories. When you kiss there, you don't just make a shudder. You are accessing an area that biologically protects the basis of instinct, the axis between their emotional stability and their sexual vulnerability. But be careful. It's not a sexual kiss. It's much more cunning than that. It is a gesture of presence, of management. It's like saying, here I am, I don't need to invade you. Just remind you that you're being watched, held, desired in your entirety. And that kind of desire, the one who is not in a hurry, the one who does not demand, the one who simply insinuates himself, it is the most unforgettable. Most men never look down at that area unless they want to take it, but you don't. You get there as if you were reading an old text, with respect, with depth, with a silence that surrounds her more than 1,000 words. And when your lips touch that part of their body, you don't just feel the rubbing, feel the intention, because they're right there. It's where many women store emotional tension that they can't verbalize, and the body responds, sometimes with a slight bow, sometimes with a deeper breath, sometimes with a tremor that he cannot control. Not because you're mastering it, but because you're reading it. And that act, reading a woman in her most subtle body language, it is one of the greatest aphrodisiacs that exist. Because women don't want to be touched, they want to be understood through touch. They want your kiss to say, I know who you are, even when you don't say it. And when that message gets through, there is no going back. His mind opens, your body begins to trust, his desire begins to lose its chains, and all for a kiss where no one expects. That's what superior strategy does. It does not impact by force, it impacts by precision, because you don't act reflexively, but by reading, because you don't improvise, headed, like a general who knows the battle map before entering combat. And what you're conquering here, it is not a part of the body, it is an emotional state, an experience that she doesn't know how to classify, But who wants to live again? That kiss on the lower back can be the emotional anchor that binds all the previous moments together. It's confirmation that you're not playing, that you don't want it in fragments, but whole, that you don't just see his face or his curves, but the whole that composes it. And at that moment, when she feels that, something changes. You are no longer just another one. You are the only one who knew how to touch her where she didn't even know she wanted to be touched. But to get there, your energy has to be clean, contained, and masculine at its best. Because it's not about being soft, it's all about being firm with elegance. It's not about kissing quickly, it's about knowing how to stop at the exact point and stay there a few seconds longer than anyone else would. That extra second, it is gold. Because that second tells him, I'm not afraid of your depth. I'm not afraid of what's behind you. I am here, and I will not leave. And that message, it goes through all their defenses. Do you see how each kiss, well executed, not only touches the skin, but the soul? That's why I can't give you all the places at the same time, because each one is a key, and give all the keys without teaching how to open, it would be a mistake. Before we move on to the fourth point, you need to understand this. Don't kiss to get something. He kisses to reveal something. When you kiss with that intention, you awaken their desire not only to be touched, but to be discovered. And there, it is where true power begins. So far, every kiss I've revealed to you has been a piece precisely placed on the board. A calculated, measured movement that advances without showing complete intentions. But there comes a point in any strategy where it's no longer just about gaining ground, but to cause imbalance. And that moment arrives with fourth place. This place is not on his back, it's not close to his lips, it is not part of the common ritual. And yet, when you use it, it's a game changer. I'm talking about the inside of the thigh, very close to the limit, but without crossing it. You're not touching an erogenous zone here. You're touching on the idea of access, anticipation, the edge of the forbidden. You're whispering to him with your lips something that isn't said, I could, but I won't, yet. And that yet is not said in words. It is said with the pause, with control, with the way you approach and stop, with the intention that you transmit without the need to advance further. In that area, the skin is more sensitive, warmer, more alive, but that's not what makes her powerful. What makes it unforgettable is that you choose to stop right there, 1 centimeter from chaos, a sigh away from abandonment, and that he breaks it. Why? Because no one stops there. Men either do not arrive or they invade. But you surround her, you provoke it, you give his mind the illusion of control, and at the same time the feeling of being completely dominated. That kiss is not given on impulse, it is given in silence, without prior notice, like an interruption of time, and when it happens, his body does not know whether to tense or surrender, and in that confusion, the most primitive desire is born. There is no defense against that, because that kiss touches two contradictory emotions, the desire to be respected and the desire to be surrendered. And you don't choose one or the other, you make them both coexist. That's the difference between an ordinary lover and a man who leaves an emotional mark. But be careful. This point can only be touched upon when she has already let her emotional guard down, when the connection has been built, because if you get there without having earned their trust, it will not be desire that you awaken, it will be rejection, it will be tension, it will be noise. But if you arrive when she already feels your presence, your gaze, your clear intention, then that kiss will not be physical, it will be symbolic, it will be like signing an invisible pact, like saying without words, I decide when, you decide whether to turn yourself in. And that's when you lose the label of seducer, and you become an experience. That kiss is not quick, it's not technical. He is slow, restrained, determined. It has to feel like it's inevitable, and at the same time as if it could stop at any moment. That ambiguity is what drives her crazy. Because true desire is not born from the explicit, it is born from what is suggested, from what is brushed against, from what is interrupted just before exploding. Remember this, power is not in what you give, it's in what you retain, and kissing her on the inside of the thigh without moving forward gives her body a confusing command that leaves her vulnerable. Not physically, emotionally. That kiss whispers to her, I don't need to take you to make you feel mine, and that, it destroys it. Because dominance without pressure, it's irresistible. Because when it feels like you're there, about to cross the line, but you decide not to, something inside her breaks, and what breaks then wants to be repaired. With you. And that's what you're looking for. Not immediate pleasure, but the emotional echo that your absence leaves. Because when she feels that place without you having completely conquered it, his body will remember you. But more importantly, your mind won't know why. And that is what creates obsession. Not the intensity, but selective absence. Now you understand better. That it's not about kissing where everyone kisses, but where no one dares. Or worse, where everyone arrives, but without intelligence. You don't just get there. You lead. You conquer without violence. You mark without leaving visible traces. And that, it is what no one else does. You've come this far because you're not just looking for techniques. You seek power. The quiet power that manifests in connection, in emotional influence, in that kind of magnetism that you can't buy or learn by heart. It is cultivated. It is mastered. It is projected. And now, it's time to reveal the fifth place to you. But I warn you, the latter is not for playing. It's not a shortcut to arousal. It is a door to the soul. The fifth place to kiss a woman, if you really want her to seat you, to keep you, to fear you a little even. It's the center of your chest, just above your heart. And no, it's not a cheesy gesture, not if you do it with intention. When you place your lips there, you're not stimulating their body. You're touching the place where she keeps everything she doesn't say. Their fears, their wounds, his memories of others, their doubts about you, their need to feel seen. That kiss does not excite seals. That kiss says, I know you can destroy yourself, and yet, I choose to be here. Most men don't come close to that part, because they don't know how to handle what it represents. But you're not just another one. You know there's no skin there. There is history, and kissing her there doesn't turn her on. It connects it, because right at that point, your mind shuts down, and it's their emotion that takes over. If you do it well, if you do it without haste, without thirst for conquest, only presence, then it won't just remember you. He will trust you with parts of it that he never thought to show. And there, you're no longer seducing, you're leading, you're ceasing to be a man with techniques. And you are becoming a transforming presence. Because in the end, true seduction is not manipulation, it is awakening. It's making him feel like with you, it can be more her than with anyone else. And that, my friend, is power. Power of the good, of the one who is not seen, but you feel it when you walk into a room. Now you know all 5 places, but more importantly, you now understand the principle behind them. Don't kiss like everyone else. Kiss like a strategist. He kisses like a man who has no need to run, because he knows that true desire, it is born of direction, not impulse. And if this information opened your eyes, if something inside you was activated, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with other men who need to understand that kissing is not a game, but an art. Leave a comment. Tell me which of these places has surprised you the most, or which one you have used without knowing the power it had. Because your experience, it can be the starting point for the transformation of another. And if you want me to keep revealing more psychological secrets, emotional tactics, and high-level strategies for understanding and mastering attraction, just like, subscribe, and stay close. We do not come here to please. We come to understand. And he who understands, dominates. See you ready.